New one. Everything is coming from Joe Metal, and please make sure that you check that one out on YouTube. Talking about YouTube, you can also watch us live. My Joy Online TV is our regular YouTube channel, and this one also goes to you. You're watching us from Equatorial Guinea, and Mr. Donko, you said this one goes to your wife who had her birthday event yesterday. Her birthday was yesterday, Mrs. Edith Donko at Tachima Manfrom, and this one is coming from Mr. Donko, who is at the presidency of Equatorial Guinea. But in the meantime, though, we've been joined by Mamavi Osabwaji. Mamavi, good morning. Looking
good morning.
Very splashing in the summer green dress for today.
That's how they call it?
Okay. I'm trying to ascribe some colors to your dress. So, and then
back in school, I was familiar with just red, yellow, green.
I know. Which school did you attend? All depends. These days the kids are so.
For security reasons, you know, he was disclosed.
These days the kids are so versatile and so knowledgeable. You'll be surprised. They'll tell you peach, this, that, I don't know. So I try to stick. I think you and I.
Yeah, red, yellow, green.
Maybe we could do a Mamavi.
Please allow me to do a dedication. It was your birthday yesterday. Adam Tracy Ameibo of Wesley Girls. Your dad, mom, siblings, Elom, Elikeme, and Ayer. I'm wishing you, though belated, I hope that you enjoyed your birthday yesterday. Adam Tracy Ameibo of Wesley Girls.
While we're at it, I guess I'll take the opportunity to say good morning to all of our viewers in Cape Coast. And boy, do we have viewers in Cape Coast. I met hundreds of people over the weekend who love all of you guys and send their love and regards to
Thank you, Cape Coasters.
Thank them very much.
They take every opportunity.
They should throw a party and invite us. We'll be coming.
There you go.
You go.
Yeah,
all
and
right.
Thank you for giving me a wonderful weekend. I certainly won't forget.
They give you a nice treat, huh?
Yes, yes, they were at their hospitable best, as always. Right. Also a big thank you to Robert and Sons for my eyewear. I'm sure you all have something to be thankful for. That's mine. Yeah.
I'm going for a new spectacle. I was directed by our lead producer, Derek Akosam, to be now wearing glasses.
With immediate effect.
Yeah, so tomorrow I'll be putting on one with Robert and Sons.
Excellent.
Be my backbone.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Job done. Okay, shall we look at some of the headlines from today? Okay, I'll start with the Business and Financial Times. I was going to start with the Ghanaian Times. I think Mamabi has that. But Business and Financial Times has these. Government eyes domestic tourism. Important story. We'll talk about it later. GEF 2018 opens tomorrow. That's the Ghana Economic Forum. And of course, Zoom Lion presents 500 new waste trucks to MMDAs. On the back page, wrong inputs undermining integrity of export data. And Forestry Commission warns officials conniving with illegal timber operators. Timber Galamsey. That's me.
Yeah. All right.
Can take a look at the Daily Graphic. The front page has a photograph of our president, Nana Akufo-Addo, and a Chinese president. It says, Ghana-China deepen ties, agree to cooperate on 8 key issues, and Kabila moves injunction against National Cathedral on October 17.
Who's Kabila?
Yeah, he is James Kobna Bomfe.
So this one should have been quotes, I think.
Yes, James Kobna Bomfe.
Oh, so that's his Lawrence.
Yeah, he's known more as Kabila.
Yeah, just like General Mosquito.
Yeah.
Right. 5
stalwarts defeated in NDC regional elections, and Zoom Lion presents 500 tracks to MMDAs. On the back page has some sports story. Hearts fans go on a rampage. You can find details. Kotoko claim double win over Hearts, and injuries threaten Black Stars AFCON qualifier. We can end with the Daily Guide now. It says Nana seals $2 billion Chinese deal, and Mahama boys flawed in NDC regional elections. That is what the Daily Guide is reporting. Government vets miners and $50 billion bond coming also on the front page of Daily Guide this morning.
All right, I can go ahead and do the Ghanaian Times. The Ghanaian Times newspaper front page, China to invest $2 billion in Ghana to finance infrastructure, railways, others. Also, Picky government hospital cries for accident units. Zoom Lion presents 500 new waste management trucks to MMDAs. On the back page, late call-up for Smiler as injury rules out John Boy Nuhu Kasim from Kenya clash. And Kotoko win Super 2 trophy.
For for grabs. But we have the Finder. The front page of the Finder has the marching presidents, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, inspecting guard of honor with Xi Jinping, who is the president of China. And we have Ghana-China ties on new path, and the premier working alongside the president. 8 cooperation agreement and MOU signed. We already brought that to you with a story. And then we have let's enhance Ghana's cultural heritage to spur economic growth. Dr. Baumia was in Cape Coast for the Ugwafi Fashion over the weekend. We have banks also recording some 1.22 billion Ghana cedi profit in 6 months, representing 21.7% increase. Well, you just have to do the reconciliation as far as the issues are with the banking sector and all that. Cocoa Board hints of reduction in cocoa producer price if, and Zoom Lion procures 500 new waste trucks to support operations in new metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies. Okay. Okay,
right.
on to the last one. We still have the Daily Dispatch newspaper. It has Zoom Lion supports MMDAs with 500 waste trucks. Front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. The story is on the back page though. There's that story about the nurse, you know, apparently trainers not getting any posting yet, but look, resorting to what she knows best to make ends meet. Joblessness turns Kayayo as she waits for Ministry of Health postings.
That is hardcore.
Yeah, she's just one of several numbers or statistics of people who don't have jobs. And yesterday a lot of stories were flying around on various pages about a number of jobs that have been lost, including even our own page as well. Could you posted that as well? We have police service needs more resources. 69% of cases still under investigations. We have David Asante Apietu, the IGP, and Ken Ofori-Atta, the finance minister, being the accompanying pictures for the story. So that will do it for now. And who wants to start?
Sure, why not? And 2 stories here I want to draw attention to. The first one is government eyes domestic tourism. Now, first thing I've got to say is that good. Because I remember in 2015 when the Green Book came out, I give this example very often. You rifle through the Green Book and maybe about 8 pages of, you know,
if you say the Green Book, you mean the book?
NDC's.
There's only one Green Book. There's only one Green Book.
Yes. It's not, and it's not your passport. So yes, so you rifle through about the first, you know, 10 pages. It's all hospitals, and then another 10 pages of roads, and then another 5 pages of schools. You know. And there was this one page. The entire page had one paragraph in the middle of it, so it's not even like half page of writing. One paragraph in the middle of this massive picture of some leaf or something. And it said, tourism as a headline. And then there was one sentence underneath. In the year 2015, Ghana's tourism industry made $3.6 billion. That's close to about 2.5% of our GDP. Now, I remember looking at that and thinking, you have wasted 15 minutes of my life that I'm never going to get back, telling me what you've spent our money on. And you have a page telling me what we have made, and it's one paragraph. And it's the tourism industry, an industry in which government almost never intervenes, never invests. On its own, it has made 3.6 billion in 2015. And this is all you have to say about it. So it is an untapped resource that we are doing nothing about. On its own, without our help, it is already making almost 3% of our GDP. In fact, in 2016, it made 3% of our GDP. That number jumped from $3.5 billion to 4.92 million. Sorry, that's actually 4.92 billion. Okay, so little by little, the figure is creeping up higher and higher and higher. It is accounting for more and more of our GDP, and we're still not doing enough to harness it and make it work. I do understand though, because in order to make tourism work, you have to pretty much solve all of our problems. Sanitation, you know, roads, hospitals, schools, and all of that. You have to pretty much address everything and get it to an appreciable standard before tourism becomes attractive to the rest of the world. So what the new minister is saying is that we're going to focus on local tourism. when I go from Accra to Cape Coast and I spend more than 24 hours there, the money I spend there goes into the Cape Coast economy.
Yeah.
And that is valuable, that's useful.
Yeah.
So if we can encourage that across the country, it is a wonderful way of boosting the sector and increasing our very own GDP.
I think that's a great intervention you've made there. Just the beginning of this year, we had these visitors who were coming from Canada and the United States. So I took them around some notable tourist sites we had across Ghana. And first we went to Aqua Safari, then we went to the rest, you know, the castle, the Kakums, and then we went to the one in the north. So, you know, they got me, you know, they got me excited as if they were happy with what they were seeing. You know, even though they were struggling, and when we got to, let's say, Elmina, they instead of taking pictures of whatever castle there was there, they were rather going to the fisher folk, you know, how untidy the environment was. So after the trip, we came back to Accra. Then Jake, the gentleman wanted to show me some of the areas he'd visited in the United States and Canada. And boy, after he showed me, they had trains, various means of getting to the tourist sites. They even had camping sites like lodges, which could be booked way ahead. The roads to the place where small economies built in towns. And I asked him, if you have all these pictures on your phone, why did you bother
Come all the way down.
why did you, he came for a business, why did you bother me taking you around these relics that we have, calling them tourist sites? And he said, well, pretty much your government's got to do more. But it also means that if the government is not at the center of everything, too, if sanitation doesn't work, if the other ministries don't work, then it means that the thing about tourism will never work. And it's something that has permeated whatever it is that we have to do. If it's education, we don't have the right roads to the towns where we have the situated schools. The teachers are not well resourced. So it's a convolution of inhibited activities that have not been done well. And as a result of that, we have the resultant effects on the various sectors that we're looking at.
And it's not a case that we don't know the solutions. I can
No, we
recall
know.
all the solutions you've talked
Our
about.
ministers have gone to Harvard and the rest. They know.
You've gone far to Harvard. I mean, in environmental studies books in primary schools, all the solutions on how to boost tourism are all listed in there. But it's just about the willpower and, more importantly, having a plan. That is what we don't seem to have. It should be planned, because these are not things that you can solve immediately. So you should identify which parts of the country you want to focus on and what you'll be investing over a certain period, hoping that with this one you'll be getting some money directly.
I mean, first we have to decide that it's a priority. We have to decide that first, then make a plan, like you said, and then execute it. Second story I want to touch on very quickly, and this is one that's in every paper today. Somebody at the company is clearly doing a very good job. Zoomlion presents 500 new waste trucks to MMDAs. Now, it's good, actually. I wanted to say that, first of all, Mr. Xiao Japong, who unfortunately in the past we almost always only take the opportunity to talk about him when there is some scandal, you know, around his organization. But in this case, I think it's important for us to take a moment and point out what is unique about how he does business. Because to be an entrepreneur, you have to be a risk taker, right? Now, he's one of those people who sees a problem, identifies a solution, and invests in the solution. Even before he has a customer, before he has a contract or a deal, he will invest in it. And it's a risk, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And when it works, it turns out to be the solution that the state, and because he often aims his business at the state being his #1 customer, it's often a solution that the state requires but has not been able to lay hands on. This appears to be what he's seeking to do with these trucks, 500 trucks. When I spoke to a lady from Zoomlion, I think her name was
Sophia.
Emma was on. She was on the Pulse. I asked whether there were contracts in place, and she said no. They were aiming at the new districts that are being created. So that's where this thing about the risk comes in. But I hope that government also plays its role on this occasion. In the past, we've had cause to complain about contracts with not only Zoomlion but other providers to the government not being properly supervised, and therefore the right thing not being done. This time around, I want to see some of that supervision. We don't want to come back again with another scandal some years later about millions of cedis paid for a contract that is not properly executed. I don't want to see that. This time around, if these trucks are going to help, then please let's supervise and make sure that we see the right thing done.
Well, at the end of the day, we also have to play our roles well. The behavioral change that is needed to improve the waste management sector, because for decades before now, we've had the more developed economies and countries try to do the separation of liquid and solid waste, even from the domestic residents, it's the homes, the offices, etc. But we just have a bad behavior, working towards having an environment that could be rid of filth. And I don't know how we can change that. We can have a number of tracks, but if we don't do the right things at the right time, we'll still just be investing in waste, and we'll not see a positive change.
Right, Mamadi, any stories in there?
Yeah, the Ghanaian Times newspaper, story on page 16 about page 22, Peki Government Hospital needing an accident unit. And I want to highlight on that story, it's page 22 in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. So it makes reference to the Eastern Corridor Road. We know how the president has described that stretch, right? And so a lot of accidents occur on that road. And the Peki Government Hospital is the immediate one that accident victims will be taken there. But because they don't have an accident units, they have to carry them to another facility. Just want to look for it and share. So it's a 100-bed hospital. It cannot take in accident cases because it does not have an accident and emergency departments. So here's okay. So in an interview with the Ghanaian Times at the hospital last week, medical superintendent in charge of the facility said, "We do not have the space for them." These are the accident victims, so we can only refer them to the Volta Regional Hospital in Ho, and this has caused the death of some road accident victims in recent times. According to Dr. Jakwasu, that's the name of the medical superintendent, 3 of the victims were brought in dead. 2 who were admitted died within 24 to 48 hours, while 2 out of the 5 who were referred to the Volta Regional Hospital died there. The medical superintendent disclosed that the hospital received 181 cases of road accident victims last year, as against 60 in 2016. So the figure keeps going up, but the fact that they don't have an accident unit prevents them for giving them 100% care, and this results in a lot of deaths because referring them to the Volta Regional Hospital in Ho does not help because of distance. So they need an accident unit.
Quite recently there was a list of some facilities that needed to be finished up. One thing that we learned from that list was the fact that a good number of them were constructed close to major routes, with the thinking that in the event there are accidents, you can rush some of these patients there. Clearly, when we're constructing some of these routes, we're not thinking that way. So it's good we've changed that thinking, but we still need to address some of the shortfalls we have in various areas. It should be close enough. When someone is involved in an accident and someone meets them up and he picks them up, their first thinking is the closest hospital. They are not thinking of which hospital has an accident center. They will not even know which hospital has an accident center. The closest hospital is quickly, they ask quickly, sometimes, which hospital should we go to? Say there's one here. We get there and there's no accident unit.
You know, over the weekend, there was an accident when some of the delegates, the NDC delegates, were going to
the Eastern region, and I listened to the reporter who was saying that
no ambulance.
So what is happening is that vehicle comes, and if he's able to pick 2 people, he picks them and takes them away.
So you really don't even know where they're taking them to.
It sounded so strange to hear.
But we have to say that if you go across even the major so-called public hospitals, whether district, whether regional, etc., the accident emergencies or the adult emergencies are some of the worst kept and resourced units of those hospitals. I know that because I have people, relations, etc., who work there. And the probability that you may even go with an ailment and leave with another ailment is even higher after you've been cured with the one you made entry to.
One of the things we've learned recently from the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, where there is an accident and emergency center, is that those centers deal with far more of lifestyle conditions: stroke, diabetes, kidney failure, and all of those, emergencies that come about as a result of lifestyle disease than accidents. Accidents form a very small number of what they deal with. However, it is in the moment of an accident that people require as little thinking as possible in order to obtain that emergency service. You need to be able to gather these people and take them. So I'll be able to call an ambulance that will arrive as quickly as possible to save lives. So I absolutely get the point you're making about positioning them logically in places where they will be of the most use.
But a bit on the NDC elections over the weekend, we are told an 80-year-old man was elected as the Northern Regional Chairman.
80.
80, yes. One Alhaji Ibrahim Mobila, an 80-year-old commercial farmer.
No, I thought I had 8, so I was wondering.
Yes, an 80-year-old man. Yes.
With a 0, 80. He has been elected as the Northern Regional Chairman. He's a farmer. Yeah, he's the chief of Tugu Yapala in the Dagbon traditional area. Nice. He had about 493
he's the
votes.
North Regional Chairman.
Yes,
of the NDC.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, Judge Lo lost, by the way.
Yeah.
I felt sad for him.
Okay, so I'm just trying to pull up
secretary.
A bit about the other
winners. Jifati also lost?
Yes.
That was a surprise to me.
Was it?
Yes, because we've always been under the impression that she has a rather blind, a following that have blind faith in her, and have always.
What do you mean by blind faith in her?
As in spite of the troubles she had while she was in government, which led to her, losing her position, she always seemed to gather quite a crowd in the Volta region at party events, and there seemed to be quite a lot of support for her. So I was surprised to hear that they didn't retain her on this occasion.
Yamin also lost.
Joseph Yamin lost, but Joseph Adikoka won. He was retained. It was an interesting election.
Aquinas also lost. Shatter.
Yes.
I was surprised.
Yes. He's a former Central Regional Minister. Mr. Okay, then you also have Tiwi Abuati in painful defeat. In the Eastern region, is the incumbent. He was defeated by his long-term political rival, John Owusu Amankra. But the Daily Guide says that these are Mahama boys who have lost the elections. That is what the Daily Guide is saying.
How about Adekoka?
Well, the Daily Guide will be the best to tell us that.
I think we should do some analysis, though, of how many incumbents retained their position as against those who didn't.
Because and I think an easier way of also determining whether they are Mahama boys or not will be roles they played in the past administration.
But how close they were.
But it's not about whether they were Mahama boys or not. What you really want, if you're doing political analysis, you want to see whether the party itself is seeking change.
And that is when the incumbent or whether fresh faces are coming in comes into play, and that could give an indication of
that's right.
Whether
so it doesn't matter how close or distant they were from John Mahama.
It changes.
But it's how hungry the delegates are for change. That is what we want to measure. So it will be interesting to see how those two numbers.
We'll see how that goes. Before this whole election, the party had been going round with some refrain. The party executives, the national party executives, seem to have been raising their voice for a pro-Mahama candidature, so to speak. We had Kofi Adams, we have a number of those party executives, which had been criticized prior to these regional elections. Now, if we have a number of regional chairmen who were said to be close to the past administration, who perhaps have lost their seats, it also gives an indication about what people may feel or pent-up feelings about what sort of direction they want the party to go. And I don't know whether that could also sync with what the national executive thinks, and even the current ones who are seeking re-election, what it could purportedly mean for them as they go into, when do they have the election? October,
next month.
So perhaps they need to play their cards well and make sure that their utterances are necessarily not only guarded but also in tune or synchronized with what the grassroots is saying. Adekoka seems to be, he's a very cunning person. He moves here, he's here.
But he's a Mahama person.
Well,
he doesn't
sometimes you never know. Fear delegates, but sometimes you never know. Yeah, he's had great experience at it, so he has his way of moving around.
So that is it with the NDC politics. Okay.
I just wanted to mention, that there's some upgrade. The Kaneshie Market Lorry Station there's an upgrade there. So, you know, if you're, I don't know if that can affect your movement or not, but just notes that work to upgrade the Kaneshi Market Lorry Station in Accra has commenced following the removal of drivers and traders from the site last Saturday. They did that at dawn, so you probably feel the effect of that today.
Yeah, I felt it this morning.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so much traffic.
So can we talk about the president in China?
Yeah, sure.
In the Ghanaian Times on page 16, there's a story about his trip to China, and there's a part in it where the Chinese Premier Xi Jinping described President Akufo-Addo, or yes, the president of Ghana, as an old friend. Okay, now the Chinese, everything they say has at least two meanings. So I started to look up some of the proverbs that the Chinese have about friends. There are some very interesting ones. The first one that leapt out to me, and I thought I'd share that one first, is this one. Good friends settle their accounts speedily.
Okay.
And there are several others about friends fulfilling their obligations. You know, if a friend does you a turn, you must return it, and you know, and so forth. And to have friends coming from afar is delightful. Okay, so a friend who travels farther to visit you is more valuable than a friend who is nearby. That is the Chinese belief. So they say travel 1,000.
Isn't that what we say?
Yeah, that's right. Travel 1,000 miles to give a goose feather. Okay, and they say this is because a goose feather is not valuable.
Yeah.
But if you travel 1,000 miles
to
to give it, it becomes valuable. And you see, I'm reading all of these, thinking about the global geopolitical situation as well, because the East and the West have always fought over Africa. And now that battle is drawing its lines even more clearly because of what's happening with Brexit and so forth. So Angela Merkel was here. We're getting a factory, you know, to produce Volkswagens and
likely,
yes. They are teasing us with a factory.
It's a kind of wishy-washy kind of thing.
Yeah, they are teasing us with a factory. The Brits came and gave us some 20 million for something that is not very clearly defined. You know, and Xi Jinping made some interesting moves, if you like. In addition to the $2 billion, he's also given something to the tune of, I think, 200 million yuan, which is something like $30 million. Also for another of these amorphous projects. But he's made it 30 million in comparison to 20 million from the United Kingdom. So that you understand, and this is a throwaway thing that has just been added in there, just so that you understand that the Chinese are positioning themselves to give more.
The Africans love China. The Rwandan president was in China not long ago.
Absolutely.
And you have our president going over. And the president in his speech said that they are now our biggest trading partners. So that clearly tells you that we are very comfortable with the Chinese, and we tend to get the deals. Even though we've had a bit of a bad experience with them in the past, the loan that the NDC government were looking at getting and talked about it for so long, the money never came in. It still appears we have a lot of confidence in them, and that is why we are still engaging them.
But in the Ghanaian Times, the Chinese premier said something about Galamsey.
Okay.
He said that the Chinese government will work with the Ghanaian government to, and I quote, tackle the problem. In that one sentence, anybody who understands the politics of China will immediately understand that the Chinese government is tacitly not against Galamsey. Because the Chinese never have to work with anybody to tackle a problem. They simply have to say stop, and it stops. China is not like Ghana. You know, it's not like Ghana. It's not like any democracy where you have to vote and have consensus before things get done. If the premier says, do not go to Ghana and mine illegally, no Chinese person will ever come to Ghana and mine illegally, full stop. But if they say they are going to work with us to tackle the problem and say other things like they recognize our laws and all of that, it starts to tell you that perhaps their immediate priority is not to end Galamsey. But anyway, a beautiful moment was when the Chinese military band played one of the president's favorite songs and played it beautifully. Check it out.
Oh,
Right,
sorry, we brought you a shorter version of it. There's
royal
really
picture.
a longer version of it
Yeah.
online. But,
And you know what? We'll play it today, okay? Because what's the point of talking about such an amazing event and not giving you the chance to experience it? We will play that full clip to you later. But let's do the online review and number of stories here, Roland.
yeah, there's an opinion. I'm sure it has a picture of Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, and I'm sure that it's coming from him. I haven't read it though. It says National Cathedral debate must not divide us. It's a debate that is not dividing us, but leaving many people wondering. Well, we seem to have this as a focus now, but when government says it will do something, especially an Akufo-Addo government, they seem to ignore all criticism and sometimes do them. Sometimes they listen though. We'll see how it goes with this one. We have Israeli force trains Ghana 64 Regiment, they call them 64 Battalion, on counter-terrorism. We have a couple of others.
One of the best. I love them.
64. Gonda Barracks.
Don't build National Cathedral on foundation of lies is coming from a lawyer.
Samson Ladi Ayenini.
Professor Kwekwa says it's demolitionist versus non-demolitionist debate, not about cathedral and non-cathedral.
Yeah.
Wizkid is linking up with Nike to drop a Starboy football jersey, also on myjoyonline.com.
That's proper branding.
Yeah, National Cathedral, vulgar or virtuous venture is the question that someone is asking.
More
in an opinion
opinions.
piece. Yeah.
And we have more?
Yep, we should.
All right, I'll let you in on a secret about new technology. Everyone has an agenda. More opinions on myjoyonline.com. Ask Eva, what does it feel like to give birth? Ask Eva on myjoyonline.com. US, France, Italy, UK condemn violence in Libyan capital Tripoli. Also another story on the page. Many more. You can find time and read on myjoyonline.com.
Yeah. And before we go, there's this article going around on social media as also. It's from one person called Councillor Daniel Fenyi. It says, and it's on the National Cathedral. It says Bishop Asari and his Parish Chapel, they have a capacity, what we did, they are doing 15,000. We're told it's 15,000, okay. Mensa Utabel's Church, the one just around that place, close to
Where's that? Abusokai.
Abusokai, 10,000. It can
Mosque.
contain 10,000 people. And then Archbishop Duncan Williams also has 10,000 capacity. Cranche Ankara has.
So what's the point?
So the point is,
why are we spending so much building a 5,000 capacity?
A 5,000 one.
But I don't think we needed size, else we would have stuck with Independence Square.
And we're building it on the land. If we estimate the
Yes,
value,
I mean,
will cost the taxpayer $40
Architecture.
million US. Those lands that.
Master, we need a national cathedral, that's all.
Yeah.
What do you
That's what
need
I'm saying, Roland. We don't. If we're looking.
No,
for,
we don't
Those
need
other
a
ones
national
are for-
cathedral.
Those other ones are for the individual churches.
And so this
We're
one will be
building
for-
a national
this one will be for
cathedral.
who?
Did
Yeah.
you see where Senator McCain
Yeah, I
was?
watched it. I
was
watched it.
where his
At the
funeral,
National Cathedral.
where the service was.
At the National
the
Cathedral.
Washington
So-
It
National
was
Cathedral.
beautiful.
So
we
we
need
need
a
a
national
funeral
cathedral,
venue.
y'all. We're building
Yeah,
one.
We need a
Whether you
funeral
like
venue.
it or
Yeah,
yes.
it wouldn't be bad to have one.
All right.
What did you say? We need a funeral home.
Yeah, venue. I'll tell you what, just before we go. Look, if you are right and we do, then we should just think a bit more about the location. I'm still not
I think that's what should
I'm
be
still
the
not convinced.
conversation. But
Yeah.
we definitely
But
need a
but
cathedral.
that is if you are right. That
I
is
am
still
right.
up for
Oh,
debate.
but we decided this a year
We
ago.
have to take a
It is
break.
no
Benedict
conversation.
Owusu will be coming with the latest sports
Yeah,
headlines.
there's US
Manchester
Open.
United won.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, I thought that was
there's Yaya
most
Toure who is
topical.
going back to Olympiacos after
Barcelona won
after he exited some 12 years.
Barcelona won 8-2, by the way.
Okay,
8-2,
yeah, well.
yeah.
Okay,
8
well.
goals.
Yeah. Whatever.
Messi scored 2.
All right, so we're taking a break. Sports next.